WWE Super Show from Melbourne, Australia is in the books at last. Hyped up for quite some time here, featuring the main event of The Undertaker and Triple H, the last time ever is what they're saying. Their final singles match of all time. Big stadium show in Australia. We're going to go ahead and recap the show for you guys, let you know if it's worth watching and what the best and worst parts of the show were. So joining me here in this review, he hasn't really been on this channel too much, but we have talked wrestling privately and on your channel a long time ago. MJ is here. Yo.
I remember that. I also remember Rudy as well. Shout out to Rudy. Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Shout out to Rudy. Yes, MJ, those of you who have heard my other projects on Geekdom 101 or the Geekdom 101 podcast episode 2, you know MJ. So he's here, and we're going to talk about this pay-per-view from the WWE Network. You can watch it on there. It's available now for streaming whenever you want, with a lot of big matches and a lot of good matches. The main event, Triple H defeated The Undertaker in a crazy smoke and mirrors match. There was all kinds of interference from Kane and Shawn Michaels. They announced at the beginning of the match it would be a no disqualification match, and you know, they had what I thought was a good match. I don't think it's anywhere close to the level of the matches they had at Mania 17, 27, and 28. It's not. But it really was a fun match to watch. Undertaker looked a little wonky at times. I know he had the hip surgery, but he looked hurt during some of this match. Triple H looked great. I love the early psychology of Triple H, kind of, making fun of The Undertaker, dodging him, and then finally Taker got a hold of him, and we saw him do old school, and we saw, there was a cool spot where they had the sledgehammer in the chair, and they had almost like a double battering ram into each other. There was a ref bump. I mean, it was just, the match literally felt like a main event from the Attitude Era with 4 guys from the Attitude Era.
Right. It kind of reminded me of the Cena Taker situation where Cena would drop little hints of Taker being older or having the surgery and stuff like that. And in this match, we saw, Triple H kind of doing the whole, oh, I'm faster than you gimmick. Oh, you used to be the striker, but you can't even keep up with me now. So I'm not too sure they were trying to go with that as like the start of the match, the psychology of it. But I dug that. It really set the tone. It was very entertaining.
They had some really good near falls here. There was a pedigree spot. They actually got me twice. There was a pedigree and a tombstone spot where I thought it was over, but Shawn and Kane kept interfering. Obviously, on this channel, we talked about this. The Dave Meltzer broke it first, but yes, Shawn Michaels is coming out of retirement to team up with Triple H against Kane and Taker, the Brothers of Destruction, at the upcoming Crown Jewel, or was that what it's called? Crown Jewel, right? Yeah. The Saudi Arabia pay-per-view coming up in November. This is, I don't know about you, MJ, bro, but okay, Shawn Michaels has not wrestled since 2010, 8 years ago. This is now his second retirement, 8 years ago. He's coming back now. I feel like this should be a bigger deal than it is.
Well, for the longest, a lot of people have wanted to see Shawn versus Daniel Bryan
and AJ and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, obviously a tag match, it's going to be a bit safer. And like me and you were talking earlier, he's not going to have to work as much as he would. But then again, a match with Daniel Bryan, you could have Daniel carry him. So I don't know. I mean, people would obviously want a singles match, but the tag match nonetheless should be entertaining. And Michaels took a lot of bumps in this match. He took a lot. I mean, way more compared to the Lesnar Triple H match back in WrestleMania where he only took one F5. Like here, he was flying all over the place,
Here he was flying everywhere. He was taking bumps off the apron. He was taking bumps over the top. Like, he looked like he was ready to go. It's just that Shawn Michaels is one of the best in-ring performers in the history of the business. Unquestionably. You can't even argue that. Easily top 10 best wrestler in WWE history. Some would put him at number 3, number 2, or number 1 as far as like a WWE primary WWE guy. We're not talking about Japan or Mexico. As far as work rate goes, the dude knows how to put on main event matches that are extremely high caliber. He's done it all his career, especially during his comeback.
Right.
He's coming back. It is a big deal. I don't know if it's being played up like being a big deal. So the finish here, I like the finish. So Triple H, there's a bunch of interference. Taker has Shawn in the tombstone. He's about to finish him off. Triple H comes in, hits Taker in the face with a sledgehammer. Shawn super kicks The Undertaker. And then Taker goes back into the pedigree, which if you saw the WrestleMania 28 match in the Hell in a Cell, that's like their combo finisher,
Right.
the super kick into the pedigree. And that was enough to pin Taker. When the match ended, Taker was down. He was kind of slumped in the corner. Triple H offers him the hand, and he helps him to his feet, and all four guys like raised their hand. The pyro went off. It was a cool little like Legends thing. But that wasn't it, because you would think that would be the end, but no, the brothers got angry and they attacked DX. Triple H got laid out with the tombstone. Kane threw Shawn to the outside, chokeslammed through the table. They called it a betrayal, and it's not that Taker and Kane are heels, because Taker's never going to get booed, but it was kind of a heelish thing, so yes. It's going to happen, folks. And
it
for
makes
those
sense for them
like,
to target Michaels, because we know, like you said, he's coming back, for this tag match. So I think they needed to do something to kind of like push it. Like they needed to like single him out and beat the crap out of him so he can come back and be like, let's do this,
Right? And the thing is, it's one of those things where I feel like, again, Shawn should be coming back out of WrestleMania. Some people are probably wondering, why did he come back here? The Saudi Arabia money. I mean, you have to look into, research this, look into the Observer and how they cover it. WWE is getting paid handsomely by the Saudi Arabians, and Shawn I've heard that he's getting paid $1 million for this match. $1 million for one wrestling match.
Damn.
Is absurd. That's what I heard. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't have the number in front of me.
That's some Geekdom 101 money, right? I'm just kidding.
No, I
just
wish.
messing with you.
I wish, bro. No, and for one match, yeah, I would wrestle for one match. I've never worked before, but I would. Yeah, so it's happening next month, bro. I can't believe we're gonna see Shawn come out of retirement. Now, other than that, the other big main event, there was two. The Shield against Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. I love this match. Again, this match felt like the Extreme Rules match last year with Kurt Angle in it, where it was just mayhem. It was smoke and mirrors. There was a lot of action, really good drama, really good action. Everybody worked really, really hard. Ziggler and Rollins were bumping everywhere in this match, but Roman Reigns and Strowman came off the top with a frog splash, bro, and you and I were like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like, dude, this match, I mean, real talk, I feel like we're going to give our review at the end of the show, but this was a pretty good pay-per-view. Like, I think this might have been one of the better shows of the year.
Well, one good thing about this match that I noticed was nobody really looked weak in the match. Like, everybody had like a very strong moment, or they just didn't, be presented as being weak, and I thought that was very cool. It did feel like obviously you could
it felt like a war.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue the build could have been better, but when the actual match came, it felt like an actual like Titan thing. They were just going at it, bro. All of them.
No, they were. Now, the finish was basically they had the spot where Roman spears Strowman through the guardrail, which we've seen a bunch of times, but this one looked extra nasty. This one looked, because it was loud.
Yeah.
And I will say the building looked great. I mean, they were saying 70,000 people. They probably are sweetening that number like they've always done. Maybe it's 50,000. Still, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's still a good number. So Rollins hits a super kick on McIntyre. Then Ziggler takes out Rollins, turns around, dirty deeds, 1, 2, 3. It was just so smooth. God, it was so much fun. Like, honestly, I could watch 6-man matches with these 6 guys. Roman, Dean, Seth,
right.
Strowman, Ziggler, McIntyre, like every week, and I wouldn't get tired of it. I really like this feud.
Also, one thing too to point out, because I know people might bring it up, is there was no heel turn, but you mentioned they still got to plant the seeds for it, and I think this match they kind of did that. Raw, they had a promo between Roman and Dean Ambrose, and in this match, Roman saved Ambrose, and then at the end, Ambrose was the one to go pick up Roman and carry him out. I think they're kind of setting the stage for that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose turning and feuding with Roman Reigns and Seth has been talked about for over a year, but I feel like the way things are now, I feel like they want to milk the Shield thing as much as possible,
right.
Because Roman is super hot with the Shield, and I think that it's beneficial to keep them together as long as possible.
You don't want to rush it,
No, I agree. The other big match, WWE title. There was a lot of big matches. AJ Samoa Joe. Love this match. I love this match. This is my favorite Joe AJ match we've seen in the company. It was better than SummerSlam, better than Hell in a Cell. There were great reversals here, great near falls. There was a couple times where you thought it was over and it wasn't. They had a spot where AJ hit like a 450. Well, what happened was there was a lot of like garbage wrestling here. I noticed a lot of tables and chairs.
Right.
Joe winds up getting put through a table and he starts selling his like leg, and then AJ does a 450 on the leg. So Joe's leg wound up being like the psychology of the match, where Joe's leg was hurting throughout the match because Joe ended up hitting the table, and he's over here telling the referee, like, he's grabbing his knee and he's like, oh, it popped, and we were wondering if he was playing possum or not. And they brawled or whatever. I think he was playing possum because then Joe puts him in the coquina clutch, and you're thinking this is gonna be it right here. And then they had this awesome spot where like he went for like a back roll, and then he put him in the coquina clutch and a bridge, and Joe kicks out, but then he gets caught in the because AJ goes back. He got caught in the calf crusher, and then Joe finally tapped out. So this feud is over.
Well, sorry to cut you off real quick, but one thing that me and you both caught whenever we were watching the match was they did the finish to the last match. The difference was, though, AJ didn't tap when he rolled out of the clutch. Instead, he went into this real quick calf crusher. Like, he went in there quick.
Yeah, he reversed into it. Yeah, it was great. No, it was awesome. Awesome stuff. And, they played up the storyline of maybe AJ is going to be reckless here and lose the match by recklessness, but no, he retains. He has now had the belt for almost 1 year. November is going to be the anniversary, and I don't know if he's going to lose it anytime soon, but we know who the next challenger is going to be, and that was in another match that was a bit of a disappointment, and that is Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Now, the reason why I say that's because I know they were probably running low on time. I get it.
Bro, the match was quick as fuck.
Yes, it was very quick. Bryan pretty much squashed him, bro. He cradled him and beat him.
What's up with that? I mean, I don't know. It just like
it was a weird finish.
It was quick, dude. Like, I looked away for a second and I looked back and Bryan was already out of the ring and they were like raising his hand, dude. It was crazy.
The only thing I can think of is they were running low on time. But he does win, and they said before the match that this is the number one contenders match. So Daniel Bryan will battle AJ Styles at the Crown Royal pay-per-view. Crown Jewel show, not Crown Royal. Crown Royal, a Crown Jewel show.
A Royale with cheese, bro. That what you thinking about?
That's what it is. Yes, I'm gonna get one here in a minute. And it's cool because that's gonna be a good match. But the reason why I was let down is because I feel like AJ and The Miz at SummerSlam had a really, really good match, and I feel like these guys do have chemistry. I hope that the feud's not over yet because I want to see them have one more really good match. This was not it, though. This was just getting Bryan over. It was just weird.
And what's funny is they can have a good match. I mean, people like to make fun of The Miz, but he can work, especially when he's in the ring with a very good worker like Bryan. So,
also, Buddy Murphy is now the WWE Cruiserweight Champion. He beat Cedric Alexander. They had a really fun little match here. And it had a lot of heat because Buddy Murphy is from Australia. The dude's been in NXT forever. He's finally now on the main roster. He goes to his home country and defeats Cedric for the Cruiserweight title. I think they said that Cedric was undefeated for the entire year of 2018, and I haven't kept up with 205 Live, so I don't even know if that's even the case. I have doubts on that because they tend to lie about these things. I like the match.
I haven't seen much of Buddy Murphy, but yeah, the match was really good. I did like what I did see. There were some cool spots.
What did you think about the Bella Twins and Ronda against the Riot Squad?
I was not invested whatsoever. I think the Bella Twins, since coming back, have been pretty sloppy, and their matches have been kind of boring to me. And the Riot Squad, I'm not too big of a fan of. Ruby Riott has some cool matches here and there on SmackDown, but overall, I just wasn't really invested in this, man.
The best part of the match, there was two things that we should know. Number one, they were teasing already from the beginning the Ronda-Nikki feud because they couldn't figure out who was going to start the match. And I'll talk about that here in a minute, but there was a cool finish where two members, it was Morgan and Riot, they went in trying to attack Ronda, and Ronda wound up putting them in a double arm bar, and they both tapped out. That was a cool finish, but it also made them look bad. But I like the idea of them pushing Ronda as being this monster, okay? There's only one problem here. And that's the fact that Nikki Bella has never, ever been taken seriously as a contender by any wrestling fan that I know of. Now, I'm not saying Nikki Bella isn't pretty or that she doesn't try. That's not what I'm saying. But she comes from a different era. She comes from the Divas era. She's not on the level of Becky or Charlotte or Sasha. She's just not on that level, right? And the idea that they're going to be headlining this Evolution pay-per-view with Ronda against her, it's just not interesting to me. If it was Ronda against Asuka or something like that, or even Ronda against, even if they did like a three-way, like Ronda and Nia Jax, or Ronda and Trish, like there's all kinds of matches they could have done. I just don't care about Nikki Bella getting a title shot. I don't care. I haven't cared about Nikki Bella in years. Since the Nikki Brie feud at SummerSlam like 4 years ago, I'm just being honest. Like they could have picked a better main event, and I'm not invested in this feud at all. I just don't. How can that close the show? How can people believe that Nikki Bella is a logical contender? Like, based on suspension of disbelief, dude. How can anybody believe that she could actually take on Ronda?
It's not believable because with Nia, you could at least say, okay, she's a
monster.
monster. She has the power. Then with Alexa, we all knew she was going to be squashed, but Alexa's proven over and over that she's like she strategizes, So like Nikki doesn't really have much to offer as being a threat to Ronda.
Now, one of the biggest tragedies when it comes to women's booking in this company is Asuka. They had a match on here. It was Asuka and Naomi against the Iconics. Once I saw Asuka teaming with Naomi, I knew that she was doomed, and I don't understand why. Asuka was one of the hottest acts in the company all throughout last year and this year as well. At the beginning of the year, she wins the female Royal Rumble. She goes on to have a really good match with Charlotte, loses the match, and ever since then, she's been literally nothing. Came back in the summer, lost the feud to what's her name, bro? Carmella in a very weak fashion. She is extremely wasted. Asuka is the most wasted talent in this company right now, and she's not even in the title picture. And I understand having the Iconics beat Asuka and Naomi because they're in Australia and the Iconics are Australian. I get the whole like home person wins, but then I also wonder, wait a minute, isn't WWE notorious for embarrassing people in their hometown?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't Jim Ross always get embarrassed in Oklahoma year after year after year?
Yeah.
Like it's literally annoying. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy. I just don't care.
It doesn't make sense logically because, again, WWE very inconsistent, but Asuka is somebody who fought off like multiple people at the same time at the Rumble,
They're booking Naomi. I'm sorry. They're booking Nikki Bella the way they should be booking Asuka. Asuka should be the one feuding with Ronda. They should figure out a way to get her on Raw, come up with some storyline or something. I don't care. They can figure out a trade or something. Get her on Raw. Then please don't sit there and say they can't do it. They always do shit like this. And have that feud, because Asuka still had tons of steam after Mania. She lost one match after Mania. They could have done a lot of things with her. She's over here in random tag matches, bro. I couldn't care less. Also, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. I was really into this feud. I have checked out of it. I just don't care anymore. They don't even know who the babyfaces and the heels are at this point. The fans want to cheer Becky, but things keep changing every week, and so does the company. They have good chemistry. I mean, the match was just Becky Lynch grabbed the women's title and hit Charlotte with it and got a DQ right in front of the referee. I don't. So are they gonna go with the heel Becky even though the fans want to cheer her? Like, WWE is so flaccid in booking this feud, and this feud was red hot around SummerSlam, and now, I mean, it's probably still hot, but I personally think it's confusing and bad.
They honestly should have just turned her face, or, I mean, to be honest, the whole heel dynamic, she was sort of, I mean, you could believe her, like her whole story and the whole, the booking around that match.
Becky had been screwed over all summer. People wanted her to win, and then after the match, she attacked Charlotte again. So it's like, like Becky's just beating the crap out of her after the match like a heel, and I'm sure that's in some cities she's gonna get cheered. It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's very, very dumb. There was the New Day against the Bar. This was just kind of an opener. The crowd wasn't really into it. I was kind of doing things when the match was on the air. This feud, it's probably going to continue, but you do have good workers here. It was good. What they did was good. Solid open. Like it's just a good tag team
there was a
opener.
couple cool spots, but it wasn't the best New Day match or the best bar match.
Agreed. And now, last match I want to talk about here before we talk about what's coming up next in WWE. John Cena and Bobby Lashley against Kevin Owens and Elias. This is the first match Cena's had since WrestleMania. He looked very small, very very small, and his hair was wacky, bro. What was up with his hair, bro? He looked like Homer Simpson when he had Rogaine in that one episode. I know he's got a movie coming out with Jackie Chan, and that's why he's smaller and has that hair, but it just looked weird. This was not the Cena. We've never seen Cena like this, bro.
It was wacky, dude. I mean, the finish of the match itself was wacky. He didn't even work that long. I don't know.
No, he didn't even work. Okay, so here's kind of what happened. Bobby Lashley essentially had the heat put on him from Owens and Elias throughout the entire match until he tagged to Cena. Cena comes in, literally comes in, makes a comeback, beats the crap out of Elias, and then hits. After he hit the he has this finisher called the Sixth Move of Doom, which I think is a great parody of Cena, which is like a chop to the throat or something, or a punch or something. So, and that's the 1, 2, 3. I don't know if this is going to be one of his finishers going forward. I think it's just a joke, like a comedy finisher for this show. But Cena did nothing. He didn't do anything. Like 2 moves and that was it. I don't know if maybe he wasn't in ring shape, but he didn't do anything. It was all Bobby Lashley. Then he cuts a promo thanking the fans, saying that WWE's his home and that his life is changing because he's becoming an actor is what he's trying to say pretty much. They really try to play it up like it was this special kind of return of an icon. Michael Cole continuously said that he's the greatest of all time, which a lot of fans don't think he is, and you don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again when you know people aren't going to agree with it. And that's the problem with Michael Cole as a commentator, is that he has no credibility. He never has had credibility. Jim Ross has equity with the fans. Gordon Soley, Joey Styles, all the great ones have the respect of the fans, and the fans love them. Michael Cole's never had that. And I like Michael Cole. Like, he's really entertaining, especially during his heel run. He's not the worst ever, but he's not very good at this job that he's had for 20 years, in my opinion, and the fans just don't respect him, and this is why, because he listens to what Vince tells him to do in the headset, but he overdoes it. You don't have to keep telling people over and over again he's the greatest of all time. Like, you could just say it once and that's it. I thought they really tried too hard to play it up like a special moment, and it was cool, but it wasn't as special as people think, because we know Cena's coming back for Mania next year. He's going to come back. I mean, he wrestles at least at Mania, 'cause that's where the big paychecks are. He'll probably work one of the Saudi Arabia shows very soon.
Right. I mean, I get you on that. Michael Cole's always just sort of been there. He's been there for a while, and he does do a lot like behind the scenes, so we know his work rate's really good, but as far as being like a top commentator, nah.
He never connected with the fans like Jim Ross did, ever. Just never did. And Jim Ross, I love Jim Ross, but he's not as good as he used to be. And that's the elephant in the room. I think Jim Ross, up until around 2008 really broke him. I think everything after that was just kind of, below what the standards that he had provided, in my opinion. I just never thought he was as good after 2008. But he's still a million times better than Michael Cole, and he has the respect of the fans, and that's the most important thing. That's pretty much it for the show. So, this was a good show. It really was a good show. It didn't feel like a waste of time at all. It was a thumbs-up show. Things actually happened. The AJ Samoa Joe feud is presumably over with. Maybe Joe's in a feud with Jeff Hardy when he comes back, or what. I mean, I don't even know, because there's rumors of him retiring too. But it was a good show. If you're going to watch the show, skip the Rousey. You don't have to watch that. It's pointless. Pretty much the main matches you're going to want to watch, I think, my opinion, is watch Charlotte and Becky, because it was a good match while it lasted. Watch the end of the Cena, Lashley, and Owens Elias match. This was a nothing match, but you can watch it if you want. Definitely watch AJ and Joe. Definitely watch Buddy Murphy and Cedric. Definitely watch the Shield match, and definitely watch Triple H and Taker. So to me, that's like 6 or 7 really, really fun, really good matches, and that makes it's a good show. I mean, and it also sets up things for the future. This actually progressed the storylines for AJ, for Daniel Bryan. They blew off the AJ both feuds for now. And Triple H and Taker, for a couple of old guys, according to a lot of fans, really busted their ass. So what do you think?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did I just hear Big D tell his audience to go check out a cruiserweight match? Did I?
I've not been a fan of the WWE 205 Cruiserweight division for a long time, but it was good. I mean, these guys, and I just want to say something. Let me look. The problem with WWE Cruiserweights is not the wrestlers; it's that WWE limits them too much. If you had stuff like New Japan's Junior Heavyweight division, where you have Will Ostrich, and yeah, I said his name like that on purpose, and guys like that, doing whatever the heck they want, or at least doing more moves, it's more exciting. The Cruiserweight division never gets any kind of real love from this company, like rarely, since Neville left, really. Once they put the belts on Enzo, it became a joke, and they're trying to rebuild the belt now. And I do think that Buddy Murphy winning on this show was a good move. However, do people outside of Australia, are they going to receive him as well as he is in his home country? We'll see, because he might not have that belt for long if he doesn't get over. So
No, I agree with you.
Did you like the show?
Yeah, I like the show. 3 matches out of the card. I mean, they were all phenomenal. Like, they're not even just good. I mean, they were really, really fucking good. So,
If you're talking about like some of the best like international WWE pay-per-views, like the recent ones, like the Saudi Arabia show back in April, this one, obviously that one where they went to Japan with Lesnar and Kofi Kingston. This was my favorite show that they've done of these, like, they're, I guess you can call them like WWE Network pay-per-view exclusives. Like, That's what they are. This is my favorite one they've done so far, and I cannot believe that Shawn Michaels is coming back. So, thank you, MJ, for being here.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Leave your comments on the show down below, and if you haven't seen it, do what I told you. Watch those matches because they were really good, and we'll talk to you soon.